All right, what's up, y'all? Thank you for stopping in to the Zoloft and hang with me for a minute. I can't put the Zoloft in the title, and this video may only stay up for so long because they delete my Zoloft videos as they go up. So I hope you guys catch this before it probably gets deleted. Hopefully it won't, But anyway, let's talk about some Star Spangled Butthurt. And before we get to that, though, man, we got to revisit some stuff, man, that I figure y'all are pretty tired of hearing, because I've been talking about it for about 13 years, repeatedly, just over and over again. But I mean, I don't, maybe y'all aren't sick of hearing it because evidently folks ain't sick of all this baiting nonsense that's out there, the gender baiting, the race baiting, the class baiting. This stuff is has definitely come to a boil. And I guess people won't be happy until there's war in the streets, like full on. Right now we see a temper tantrum that's in the streets right now. That's what we got in the streets right now is a tantrum, courtesy of the left wing. But before it comes to like blows and exchanging some caps, man, that may be around the corner. And but like I said, with this Star-Spangled Banner issue, before we get to that, I gotta repeat again to conservatives, my fellow Republicans and conservatives, man, I'm sorry, but y'all still ain't getting it. I appreciate the amens and I appreciate the tell it like it is, though. But are you guys sharing these videos? Are you trying to tell Donald Trump about these videos? Are you trying to tell the prominent conservative voices about these videos? No, you're not. All right, probably because you don't want this stuff to stop. Evidently, you don't want this stuff to stop. Because I have told you, I've been telling y'all for 13 years how you could have offset a lot of this stuff, and you're not doing it. All right, I know now people might be saying it's like, well, Zoe, quit your whining. Why don't you go tell Donald Trump? Y'all, these folks, they don't want to listen to me. They don't want to listen to me. I know people who know Trump, right? I know there's like say for instance, like Tria Pearson and I, we used to be friends. All right. I don't know what happened. I don't know what did it, but talk about the brush off. All right. We were there when the Tea Party was kicking off, right? We was buddies in the field. I don't know what happened, right? So I can't reach anybody involved, like who camps himself around Trump and goes in for the White House visit, all that. These people, I'm not invited to the table. I do not exist to these people, right? So it's not like I haven't tried, right? And actually, I mean, I do want to give a shout out to Todd Herman, who is a national voice and did put me on to let folks know. It's like, look, this is what you're doing to really shoot yourself in the foot on this. And so I'm thankful that he heard me out. And this is not about me butt hurting for some recognition or anything like that, y'all. Like you, I reckon I'm pretty tired of this stuff, and I would really like to see the heat brought down. All right. This is Earth, man. This is life. We're always going to have some heat, y'all. But this is a straight up fever, right? This is coming up to meltdown, and we're not supposed to be operating like this, right? And so, conservatives, these are the things that you're doing to shoot yourself in the foot. That's coming at you. You need to understand one. These nuts that are out there, whether they're paid protesters, whether it's Black Lives Matters, whether it's Antifa, whether it's the Afrocentric aspect of the Black community in general, you have to understand something. When they think white America, they think you, conservatives. They think Republicans. That's what they think. It doesn't matter what the Democrat. It doesn't matter that the Democrat Party has been the apartheid party of America. It doesn't matter that the Democrat Party founded the KKK. It doesn't matter that the Democrat has established the Confederacy. It doesn't matter that they're the ones who authored the Jim Crow laws. It doesn't matter about the Dred Scott decision. It doesn't matter about them being opposed to the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. None of that stuff matters because conservatives have allowed the Democrats to effectively wipe that stain on them. And I've been trying to tell you, conservatives, Republicans, you have to set the record straight on this, but you're not doing it. And you don't support the effort to reverse that and put the stigma back where it belongs. You don't help with that. What you do is that you go pump your fist, saying we need less government because that means more freedom. And you're so worried about your freedoms and whatnot that you forget the cultural ramifications of, if you don't have the stability of the cultural connection with that, your political representation will crumble. You guys are looking for a political victory in 2020. That means nothing. Do you not see the meltdown that's happening? Have you forgotten that we're governed by our consent? These people are not consenting to conservative representation. Have you forgotten that? You're not seeing that. All you're thinking about is MAGA and Trump 2020. I do my videos, and that's when people leave comments like MAGA, Trump 2020. It's like, dude, are you not understanding that your political victory is going to cause a lot of problems if you don't have the cultural groundwork to go with it? Conservatives don't get that. And it's frustrating. I've been trying to tell y'all for years, you need to set the record straight concerning the Confederacy. These statues that are coming down, you got conservatives out there saying we need to keep them up because it's heritage and history. How many times I got to tell y'all this? If you're gonna, because I'm not one of those people who advocates taking them down. I'm one of the advocates saying you need to leave them up. Keep the statues up. Why? So people can know that they are of the Democrat Party. But no, you got Republicans out there, conservatives. We need to leave them up. Why? Just because of your American pride? Oh, man, you really dropped the ball, man. And I told you, and I've been telling you for 13 years, if you don't set the record straight on this, the country's going to go nuts because they're acting out of confusion, y'all. This is all confusion. And who is confusing them? The Democrat Party, who runs everything. Media, news and entertainment media, the education system, fashion, sports, you name it, they run it. They're in everything, inundating these people and having these people melt down with the friction of fiction. These people are given over to their imaginations because that's all that's stimulated with them, not their reason. You got these conservatives out there that think they can reason with them and impress them with their amazing intellect. These people aren't wired for reason. That's not what they're stimulated for. They're not stimulated for reason. They're stimulated with imagination. I keep trying to tell conservatives this, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing this for nothing because I'm trying to reason with conservatives who are supposed to be the reasonable people, and you're not doing anything with it. You still got Trump out there calling these people radicals. You got the major talk show hosts calling these people radicals. And you guys want to cry about statues of Grant coming down? You want to cry about that? You know, Grant was considered a radical Republican. And he was supported by radical abolitionists, radical Republicans. And you got all these conservatives and Republicans out there calling Democrats radicals when they're not. They're rebels. They were rebels against the Constitution then, and they're rebels against the Constitution now. And you're calling them radicals, and you wonder why people think the parties have switched sides. How many times I got to tell y'all this? Knock it off. You got Trump out there every chance he gets. He's calling them these radical leftists and radical Democrats. They're not radicals. They're rebels. You're giving them the material that they need to promote the idea that the parties have switched sides, and that's why they don't trust you. Why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep arguing for these monuments to stay up if you're not going to point out that the Democrat Party are at the roots of it? The Confederate battle flag, all that was sewn together by the Democrat Party. Why are Republicans defending the Confederate battle flag? What are you doing? You are part of the problem. Now what? So now what? You want to complain about the Star-Spangled Banner? Maybe if you had laid the groundwork almost 30 years ago. I hadn't been doing this that long, but I've been doing it long enough for conservatives to do something about it and switch the tune on it, right? But and speaking of switch, that's why people think that the party switched sides. Conservatives haven't switched sides, y'all. They just switched off. They don't, man. Republican Party doesn't really know who they are. They don't know. They don't know their roots, man. Not enough. I give thanks for a lot of y'all who do, man, but not enough of the Republican Party. Just to the Republican Party, it's about jobs, the economy, and gun rights. And it just really totally forgot what the Republican Party was founded on, man, and just left the field wide open to be mischaracterized by Democrats. You give them all the material that they need, man. You guys do it. You're talking about defending these Confederate stations and Confederate monuments and stuff like that, these were Democrats, man, who had murderous hatred for us. Murderous hatred, right? And ain't much change. And you got conservatives out there defending this stuff, and you don't point people to the Democrat Party, and you wonder why it could. But the Democrat Party has effectively turned the people against you and made it look like you are the ones who are responsible for it. And now they're tearing down everything, y'all. That's always been the objective of the Democrat Party. They hate America. They hate it. Why do they hate it? I'm going to tell you again. The reason why the Democrat Party hates America is because they can't stand the fact that the rule of law is based on the rule of God, and they do not like it that they do not have the power, not written. They don't have the written power to vote away what was ordained by God. That's why they don't like this country. As Republicans, we understand that we are ruled by laws that were ordained by God, our certain and inalienable rights. That was ordained by God. That's our law. That is the supreme law of the land. That is what the Republican Party was founded on. Because when you know the truth and who is the truth, that's what sets you free. So according to the Republican Party, all men are supposed to be free. The Republican Party was founded on that. Democrats can't stand that. They cannot stand the fact that they don't have the power to vote what they think is right over what God has ordained. And they've always hated this nation for that. And they're taking revenge on this nation right now. The Confederacy is not done. The Confederacy went to war against the Constitution then, and they're going to war against the Constitution now. Why? Because they're rebels, while Republicans keep calling them radicals. And what do you think radical means? Radical is to have a root. It's to have a core. Democrats don't have a core, y'all. You keep talking about these radical Democrats like that because they strayed from the Constitution. That has nothing to do with being radical. If you stray, that's rebellion. That's not radicalism. People say, well, when we say radical, we're just talking about being extreme. Well, then call them extremists, but they're not radicals because they got no root, y'all. They got no core. But you keep giving them the language that they need to promote the idea of the party switch sides, and you wonder why people don't trust you. And you wonder why they're able to effectively take that bigoted historic stain that they have and wipe it on you. Because the America views white America through you. This is what the Democrats have programmed them for. You're not doing anything about it. Y'all go sit on your hands. You ain't gonna share this video with the people who need to see it. That's what's gonna happen. I'm sorry if I'm being a little prejudiced here. That's what's going on for 13 years. Well, actually, let me take that back. Trump's only been in office about 4 years. Long enough to see a lot of damage done, huh? But y'all, I told you this 13 years ago. You need to get away from that flag. It ain't got nothing to do with you. What are you defending the Confederate battle flag for? It's a battle flag, remember? If you're waving the battle flag over a state building, what you're saying is that state is in a position of war against the United States of America. But you want to be cute and consider yourselves rebels. Come on, man, grow up. Rebel flag, man. Dude, seriously? And now here we are with the Star-Spangled Banner. Nobody understands what this is about. The Star-Spangled Banner. People want to butter. It's like we got all this rap music out there. You got this rap music out there with just saying the N-word over and over again, misogynist lyrics, the violence, drugs against their own people. That's what they bump up and down the street. This is $1 billion industry. And you got these people butthurting over the Star-Spangled Banner. Really? Why? Because of the fourth stanza? Let me posit an observation with that stanza, y'all. With that stanza, when we're talking about, let me read. Let's read it really quick. In this stanza, it says, "And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more?" Asking the question. "Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave." Now you let the academics, you let them have their way with it, the liberal academics, and they're going to try to tell you something about, how blacks were seeking slaves, being freed from slavery from the British and all that sort of stuff. I was like, wow, I thought that according to the liberals, that's how slaves got here. It was all, these white folks who brought slaves over to America because they need to get their story straight as far as that goes. It's like, okay, all of a sudden these white people from Europe who enslaved the Negro and brought them over to America are now the same people who they can seek refuge from and join their army and get freed? It's like, really? Is that what you want to go with? That doesn't seem very consistent to me. But y'all, let me offer you this interpretation, and y'all, that's all it is an interpretation. But I'm gonna run with it, because this is just what I'm thinking. When it tells you that no refuge could save the hired and enslaved from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, y'all, have these people considered that, y'all, when it comes to freedom, that's what we're looking for, and let me say this really quick. This shows the pathetic mindset, the insecure and pathetic mindset of these people. And I'm sorry, because my black people get mad because they think I'm always picking on them. It's like, no, dude, ain't nobody picks on you harder than you pick on yourselves. Okay, ain't nobody makes you more insecure about being black than yourselves. That's a fact. All right, nobody makes you more insecure about that than you do. And the thing is, y'all, and this is part of America, and the Democrats are the overseers of this narrative, is that the fact that whenever they see the word slave, they always associate it with black people. When you think slave, you gotta think black people. And when you think black people, you gotta think slave. That's the narrative that's constantly promoted, as if this stupid idea is that the only people in human history who have ever been slave has been black folks. It's the dumbest narrative, but people keep going with it. Really? The only people who have ever been, ain't nobody ever been slave. Like, oh man, come on, man. Really? So you want to go with that? This is the narrative that you want to promote. You got this. Black folks do it to themselves and want to promote this idea that the only people who have ever been slave has been black folks. When you think black people, you got to think slavery. When you think slavery, you got to think black folks. That's all we are. That's all you see yourselves as. You wonder why we can't get ahead. We stay in this constant state of arrested development because you think that slavery is your exclusive domain. That's only been us. Man, you need to think better than that, man. You need to get out of that. You need to get out of it. All right, because you're dragging other black folks down with you. You're just like the crab in the bucket syndrome, man. You need to knock it off. All right, and this butthurt about so when you think about what Keyes is talking about, what he's saying is there's no other. What it's basically saying, there's no other place. There's no other refuge. There's no place else that has been established to acknowledge the God-given rights of man, like the United States. There's no place else that the slave can run. There's no place else the bond servant or the captured slave. There ain't no place else you can run, man. You come to America. This is that place. There's no other place of gloom or terror that can hold you. America. And everybody knows it, man, because people ain't risking their lives to leave America. They're risking their lives to come here. They risk the death. They risk the grave. They risk the gloom. They risk it to come here. They risk it to come to America. People ain't risking their lives to leave. They tried to risk their lives to leave the Confederate States of America, where the Democrats ruled. They tried to leave there to come to the Union, where the Republicans represented. Yeah. But when America has come together, it ain't people trying to leave America, y'all. People don't risk their lives to leave America. They risk their lives to come here. So maybe take that into consideration when you want to talk about where Francis Scott Keyes was coming from when he wrote that stanza. Maybe he was saying, hey, ain't no place else you can run to. There ain't no other refuge, man. America. America's the spot. This is where you can be to escape all that. So now people want to look at the record of Keyes. All right. So with Keyes, take this into consideration, please. In my observations, y'all, you're going to have this kind of mixed bag of what Keyes represented. Keyes was anti-slavery, but he had slaves, right? The left wing always wants to bring that up. But they always leave out that they were the party that fought to keep slavery legal, right? But remember, y'all, their objective is to destroy America. It was them who wanted to keep slavery legal because it goes against the law of God that says that all men are free. That's God's law. All right. Democrats don't like that. They want to be able to vote against that. They want the power to vote against that. They want to ascend north of the throne of God, like their father, the devil. Right. So when Keyes is when he owned slaves, he set slaves free. He had slaves that became his employees. And y'all, I'm not making a defense of them, or I'm not making an indictment of them either. All right, I'm just pointing these. I'm making an observation that people might want to consider, because they'll say that he was either inconsistent or a hypocrite. It's not easy. It's very easy. You know, you go on these left-wing search engines. It's very easy to pull up a lot of stuff that you could stigmatize Francis Scott Key with, right? But there's things that they leave out. For instance, you know, when they'll say that as he represented both slaves trying to earn their freedom, right? And he represented them so they could get free, but he also represented slave owners trying to reclaim their slaves. All right. Now, how does that work? How is it that on one end you can defend slaves getting their freedom, and then on the other hand, you can defend slave owners wanting to reclaim their runaway slaves? That doesn't make sense. Well, y'all, the thing is, in America, all right, in our Constitution, forced slavery is illegal. All right. And I've been trying to tell y'all this for years, right? Even though some people trying to bite my rhymes on this, but this was me who told you this. I've been telling y'all, if you want proof that the Constitution of the United States is an anti-slavery document, it's not a pro-slavery document. The proof that you can look at is the Constitution of the Confederate States drawn up by the Democrat Party, who put in clear language slavery of the Negro. All right. The reason why they put Democrats put that in there is because it's not in the Constitution. The Constitution is not legal to force people into slavery. You can't do that. What is legal is that through due process of law, if a person has committed a crime, a person can be deprived of their liberty, and a person can be forced to do labor if they have committed a crime. Well, according to the Democrats, being black was a crime. That was crime enough. If you caught being black, you could be put into forced labor. That was the Democrats who wanted to keep that legal. All right. Well, the Republicans said, no, you can't do that. And we had a war. All right. So anybody out there who tries to say that the war wasn't about slavery or anything like that, or it was a war because of Northern aggression and taxes and all that sort of stuff. And the Democrats, they didn't want to keep slavery. Oh, come on, man. Evidently, you never read the Constitution of the Confederate States. You didn't read it. Despite all that Southern patriotism and whatnot. And it ain't even about North and South, man. It was about Republicans versus Democrats. That's what the war really was. But people like to play on the territorial aspect. People get very caught up with territory. All right. But it was a war between Republicans and Democrats. Abolitionist Republicans, pro-slavery Democrats. That's what the war came down to. Okay. Read the writings of Lincoln's contemporary enemies. They hated Lincoln because Lincoln was an abolitionist and he was set to end the war on slavery. And what Lincoln would do is that he would play dumb. It's like, oh, really? No, man, the Negro, I don't care about freeing them or anything like that. It's like, no, my paramount objective is just to keep the Union together. And then he would just sit back and watch. I said, watch, these people are going to campaign for me. It drove the Democrats crazier, right? And they'd get out there. Lincoln's he's an abolitionist. He wants to end slavery. That's what his contemporaries would tell people. They campaigned for him. He knew what he was doing, but people are caught up in this narrative. And that's why, and because Republicans hadn't been selling it, now they're attacking all the statues. Why? Because Democrats want the whole country torn down. They want the country burned to ashes, and they want to rule over the rebuilding, the reimagined of. You might notice that the Democrats like to use that language a lot. Reimagined. I told you they're in imagination. I've been telling you that they're in imagination land. And now you hear them saying it all the time, don't you? Reimagined, reimagined. What have I been telling you? Right? But I don't know. I just like, it's frustrating, man. It's like I'm telling y'all, and you guys aren't listening. So with Francis Scott Key, he represented the thing is, y'all, it was illegal, and those who were illegally owned slaves, right, forced into slavery, Francis would represent them. However, those who did own slaves, those slaves who were runaway slaves, those slaves, did people maybe consider that those weren't people who were forced into slavery, those might have been bond servants. Those people probably had a debt that they tried to run out on, or they might have been criminals. They might have been criminals who were put into a person's custody and they had to do forced labor. So he would represent the people who wanted to reclaim them. Honestly, I don't know for sure. But the thing is, according to our Constitution, if you commit a crime and are charged with through due process, you can be put to forced labor. Your liberty is deprived of you. Nobody can be denied of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. You commit a crime, then the measure of punishment to fit that crime can be, it could be, if it's capital offense, you can lose your life, your right to your life. Your right to your life is forfeit, right? Your right to your liberty is forfeit. Your right to your property is forfeit. If you commit a crime and due process renders this judgment, that's legal, all right? And that's not wrong. You commit a crime, yes, you can be put into forced labor. That's not wrong. Just forcing somebody into labor without due process of law is wrong. Okay, so maybe consider that's what Francis Scott Key was doing. So, but people want, like I said, they want to continue on with this narrative, man. It's just this insecure, all this, man. It's so much thick insecurity. That's what it's pride. It's pride and insecurity, y'all. It's just a bunch of pride and insecurity. And what are we doing about it? What are we doing about it? You keep repeating the same things over and over again, and you wonder why people are going crazy. You're not doing anything different, conservatives. You're not doing anything different. I've been trying to tell you, you need to get away from these symbols. You have helped promote the idea that the parties have switched sides, and this is why they don't trust you. And they associate everything white with you. And it really sucks. It sucks also for blacks, because now for the longest time, all we've been seeing is your Uncle Toms and your house pets and all that sort of stuff. That's really an insult to us, because we've been trying to tell you the truth about this. I know I have. And it's like, well, thanks a lot. Because this is the image that's left of us. Not that I'm all concerned about image or anything like that, but the reason why I bring it up image, because it makes it that much harder for us to do our work. Because we're trying to help too. We want to preserve this country too. A lot of us actually we're really thankful to God to be here. And what do you do? What do you do with our help? What I see is a bunch of spotlight seekers trying to make a name for themselves is what I see. It's like, what are you saying it's useful? Because when I'm looking out in the streets and I'm seeing cities burning and stuff like that over some nonsense that could have been solved, I'm like, what are you doing? See, and now also, so with you could tell that people are lying about the Star-Spangled Banner and what the mindset of it is, because you have people out there, you got these left-wingers out there trying to say that even the motto "In God We Trust" comes from the Star-Spangled Banner. That's where it originated. "In God We Trust" originated with the Star-Spangled Banner. That was the inspiration for it. Really? No. Let me help y'all out really quick. When people try to say that our nation's motto originated with the Star-Spangled Banner, hold on. Psalms 27. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. I remember that one because we said those, my wife and I said those at our wedding. All right. 1 Timothy 4:10. That is why we labor and strive, because we have put our hope in the living God, who is our Savior of all people, and especially of those who believe. The translation for that also yields the word trust. 2 Corinthians. Indeed, we felt we had received the sentence of death, but this happened that we might not trust on ourselves, but trust on God who raises the dead. 2 Corinthians 14:11. Then Asa cried out to the Lord his God, "O Lord, no one but you can help the powerless against the mighty. Help us, O Lord our God, for we trust in you alone." 1 John 4:16. We know how much God loves us, and we have put our trust in his love. Isaiah 26:4. Trust in the Lord forever. For the Lord himself is the rock eternal. John 14:41. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me, as in Yeshua. Right? And there's many more, y'all, speaking about trusting in God. So I'm pretty sure that inspiration came from the word of God himself. and didn't originate with the Star-Spangled Banner. But that's how you know that they got it twisted and they're promoting a false narrative, y'all. So come on, man. Conservatives, what you going to do with it? I've been trying to tell you, this is why this stuff is going up in flames. And you can go ahead and it's like, maybe you just think it's just a word. Well, the word of God says that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And you're just going out there and you're using these words frivolously. And just because somebody is doing something extreme, you call that radicalism. Radicalism has a root, y'all. It has a core. These people don't have a radical is stable. And a radical, when things get unstable, the radical takes measures to get it back to a state of stability. And the most stable place to be is on the foundation of the word of God. God himself is the one true radical. The Bible is the one true rule book for radicals. You're calling them radicals, and they're not. They're rebels. They were back in the 1800s. They're rebels today. Please get the language straight on this, y'all. So anyway, thank you for letting me get that off my chest. And if you guys appreciate the content, I hope you guys visit my website. You can catch one of these spiffy mugs. You can kick it in the Zoloft with us, and grab some other cool stuff. Get that Frederick Douglass shirt and all that sort of good stuff. And I hope to see you guys sporting them. All right, y'all. Be proactive, man. All right. Don't just sit on this. Make it be known. Make it heard. You sick of this stuff? Are you really sick of this stuff? Then listen, get the language straight. You can and also get my audiobook, man. A Solid Right Cross. It's available for you. It's going to tell you the stuff that nobody else is telling you. All right. Nobody else is saying this stuff. And if they are saying it, they most likely got it from me, because nobody says it, the way I've been blessed to be able to say it. I ain't trying to say that I'm some genius or anything like that. I'm just some knucklehead next door. Right. But I've seen long enough to see how liberals are doing this. And rather than just give you some book that just where you can high five each other, I'm talking about how stupid liberals are. These stupid liberals who are running everything, that somehow we gave them the power to run everything. Get some insight on to maybe what conservatives might want to start doing different. You might need to change your tactics. You don't have to change the way that you think. You don't have to change your values, but you're going to have to change your tactics. All right. You're going to have to adapt. And I feel like I'm just like a lone voice in the wilderness, y'all. It's like, that's just the way that it is. It's like, yeah, so that adaptation didn't seem to work out too well for you. Yep. I'm kind of a casualty in that. I admit it. But when conservatives talk about being the silent majority, well, there seems to be enough of y'all out there, right? The silent majority, and forgive me, y'all, but I'm so sick of hearing that. The silent majority, man, the silent majority and the sleeping giant. I'm sick of hearing both of these terms. Okay, the giant, the problem with the sleeping giant is the giant seems to sleep too much. What's up with this? Say you've awakened to say, hey, let me tell you something about the silent majority and sleeping giant. Ain't nobody scared of you. They're not scared of you, man. You've awakened a sleeping giant. Ha ha, they're laughing at you. Sleeping giant. Won't you wake up? The giant sleeping all the time. Silent majority. Well, guess what? We got a noisy minority out there who are screwing a lot of things up. Silent majority. That don't mean nothing, man. It means nothing. So, and you need to get out there and start proclaiming the gospel. All right, you need to get into that word, because on your own understanding, because the Bible tells you, don't lean on your own understanding, but trust in God. He will fill you with what to say. And y'all ain't arming up with that. You just ain't. So get into it. I know a lot of conservatives out there think they're too sophisticated for God. They think they can solve this with their own intellect and all that sort of stuff. It ain't working out too good for us. So maybe, let's start making that joyful noise instead of being a silent majority. But let's make a noise that sounds like we're actually grateful to God for this nation and speak up for it. Speak up and be a blessing to Him, instead of talking about God bless America all the time. God bless America. God bless America. Like my buddy Joe Messina says. How about America bless God? Why don't we do something to be a blessing to Him instead of talking about God bless America all the time? Make America great again. How about we act like we're grateful again? Well, how about we do that? Stop being the silent majority. Make some noise. So anyway, y'all, I thought I was done getting stuff on my chest. That just kind of came up there. Anyway, y'all, thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.